It is indeed joyous, is it not, to gather together with people of a like mind and a like heart, trying with all of your gifts to shine the light into this dimension and timeline. We are happy to participate in this exchange and welcome all or any of your questions at this time.
Today we're talking with Channel Kelly Bowker. Kelly, welcome in.
I am so excited to be here. Thank you for having me on your show.
I'm so tickled. I feel like this is just girl talk. Today,
Okay.
spiritual girl talk, which is my favorite cup of tea. For those of you who are not familiar, for those who are not familiar watching this, tell us a little bit about your incredible journey and the great changes that have happened in your life just in the last few years.
Oh my goodness. I would never have dreamed that my life would be what it is today. I could not have imagined it, truly. I live in a very small town. I've lived within 5 miles of the same place my whole life. Small country town, under 1,000 people, and I was born a seeker. I was born knowing there was something more than what I could see. I knew there was more, and I just felt this drawing. And so where do you turn when you're a kid and your mom and dad are not particularly, spiritual? We had a church in the town, one church at that time. Now there's probably half a dozen, but it was a Baptist church. And so I would manage to get myself there because my mom and dad didn't pay much attention to that kind of thing. But they didn't mind me doing it. And so I started going to the Baptist church. And when they would talk to me about the love of God, when they talked to me about the Holy Spirit, when they talked to me about Jesus loving me so much and dying for me on the cross and all of that, I could feel that Holy Spirit inside of me. I could feel the connection. I felt that love. I just felt it. I knew I was loved and I knew they loved me, that he loved me. And which was hard as a young one because then they would, in the same sermon, they would go on and talk about how my Catholic friends were going to hell and my Jehovah Witnesses friends were going to hell, and hell in at all. The love that I felt, it didn't make any sense to me that this could be the same thing. But because I had such a visceral Holy Spirit experience of the divine from this man speaking up at the front of this building, I figured that the other crap he was saying must be true too. And so I had this internal war forever. I knew that it wasn't right. The essence and the spirit that lives inside of all of us, that essence in me, knew this wasn't right. But I tried. So I tried. That's a great sentence and a great descriptor. I tried to be a good girl and I tried to not make Jesus cry and I tried to love with my heart and I didn't let myself be grumpy and I wouldn't let myself be angry and I tried to love the world through the eyes of God. And of course, I'm friggin' human. And so I was falling flat on my face over and over again, feeling guilty, feeling less than, feeling not enough, all of it. Met my husband when I was 18 years old, fell madly in love, got married the summer I graduated from high school, still married to the same wonderful, wonderful man. And he had a vision for our life, and I had a vision for our life. And my vision was what I saw as the good Christian family going to church on Sunday and everybody, leave it to beaver kind of stuff. It's so bullshit. It's bullshit, but you just can't help but think, oh, I want that for me too and my kids. Well, he had a different vision. And so we went through some stuff. And at one point, when I was unhappy in the early part, when we'd been only married probably 8 years, 7 or 8 years, we almost ended up getting a divorce. And at that time, because I was unhappy, I turned even more strongly to religion. And because I needed something, I was miserably unhappy because my husband kind of turned into a-hole, quite frankly. And he would tell you that himself if he was sitting here. But he blamed me pulling away on religion. when it was like chicken or egg kind of a deal. Well, I knew the chicken and the egg. I knew it was because I was unhappy. I'm looking for something to help me be okay. I didn't want to get a divorce. I wanted to find something that would help me be able to live with him being the way he was being. He just wasn't the guy I married. So I turned to the Pentecostal church, and within that church, there is a knowing around speaking in tongues. It's called a gift of the Holy Spirit. And I was able to open my heart to the all, and I was able to, and they called it being slayed in the spirit. You got there through prayer. You got there through just that connecting and that repetitive kind of prayer and just loving so strongly. And boom, I got blessed with the being able to speak in tongues. Fast forward a little bit, Mike and I reconcile. The compromise is I'm not going to follow such a strict religion. He knew I was still going to be spiritual, and he wasn't going to be an asshole anymore. And he stayed to his side of it.
It
And
was a compromise.
it was a compromise. He really straightened his act out. And because he went back to being the wonderful man that I married, it worked. So speaking in tongues was part of that religion. And I just stepped away from it all. And I
Mhm.
let it be. It was always there. I knew I could access it, but it was like that was part of a different life. So then I went on with my life, happy as like all of us, finding our way. Definitely knew that the dogma of religion as I came into womanhood, I knew that was not for me. I didn't know what the truth was. And I just kept hunting. I just kept searching. And probably right around the same time that everyone else found it, I found The Secret, the movie The Secret, which featured a little tiny bit, or maybe it might have even been a movie that Louise Hay put out that actually showed Jerry and Esther Hicks. She didn't actually say that Esther was channeling, but messages, there was a discussion, and I felt that pull. I just knew there was something special about Jerry and Esther Hicks. So I then dove into Abraham and all of the teachings, got all the books, read them, listened, studied, but I felt a lacking. There was something that was really missing because I love God. I love to pray. I love Jesus. I want to feel his presence. I know what that presence feels like. I knew that that was real, but now I'm being taught we create our own world, we manifest our own reality. And I believe that. But where does prayer come in? Who am I supposed to pray to? I didn't, it was like, it wasn't fitting together. It just wasn't fitting together. And so I was a wonderful manifester. It left things lacking, but I was really good at it. And I stayed the course for probably 15 or 20 years and living a good life, happy, doing well, teaching. I taught, I'm a registered nurse. I taught the CNA program at our vocational school, technical education school. And I just started to not be okay. As I bet many of the people who will listen to this will feel the same feeling. It's like I could look around, there was nothing wrong, but I was not okay. Something wasn't right within me. Something was missing. And I just felt this pull. And one of the things that I can tell you from experience is that our guides and our angels try to get our attention, and they try with little taps, and then they try with a little bigger tap, and then they felt the two before and they whack you upside the head.
I
And
know. It's incessant.
that's right. That's about what it took for me. Is it took the two before I got a diagnosis of an autoimmune disease. I was sick, one thing right after another thing after another thing. I have asthma anyway, and I was getting all these respiratory illnesses, which really debilitated my lungs. And up to this point, I had read dozens and dozens of self-help books. In every self-help book, when it got to the section about meditation, I skipped it because I couldn't meditate. No way. My mind's too busy. I have too much energy, can't settle down. So I'd skip that part. And I also skipped the inner child part. Yeah, that's bullshit. I don't need that. And so I just kept skipping it all. I'd get lots out of the other stuff, but I would skip that. So at this time, I am so debilitated. I can't hardly walk the length of my house without being out of breath. And so I dive into the internet. How do I strengthen my lungs? And I found Wim Hof. Wim Hof is also known as the Iceman, and he has a breathing technique that is pretty awesome. And it's basically hyperoxygenation followed by hypoxia, which means too much and then not enough. And I started to practice it, and it works. It was building. I was able to hold my breath as an asthmatic. I was able to hold my breath for, it was quite amazing, really. But anyway, you do this in rounds, and then you hold your breath, and then you take a big breath, and then you do another round. Well, just like when you get up too fast or whatever, and you get that woo feeling started to get bigger. And it was like, I felt something. I knew something was there. I started to stretch that time out, that between rounds, and experience what I was experiencing was the altered state of meditation. So think about what that is. Native Americans for years have done their peyote and things like that because you get your conscious mind out of the way, and then your spirit can blend and meld with the all and whatnot. Well, I was doing it except for instead of with plant medicine, I was doing it by altering my oxygenation state, and I was feeling that blend. And it's been a long, long time since I've done the Wim Hof breathing. I don't need to anymore. But that was the step into me being able to meditate. So now I'm in, like 6 years ago, I'm in the time of I'm meditating. I'm trying to meditate. I'm working on my practice. I'm reading Joe Dispenza. I'm doing all kinds of stuff, and I'm trying to work on healing my body. I'm debilitated. My mind isn't good. And one thing I'd love to share with you all is that I read The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale when I was like 10 years old. I think it was the first chapter book I ever read. And that's always been who I am. I'm Pollyanna. I see my glass as half full. If it's got just a skimp in it, it's half full. And that's always been who I've been. But at this time in my life, that voice in my head that always has been happy and joyful was starting to be a real grump. And I couldn't seem all my tools that are in my toolbox, everything I've always been able to do that would bring myself out of the doldrums. I live in Maine. We have long winters. So sometimes those doldrums will grab you. But I've always had the tools to bring myself up out of it. But this was a spiral, and I could feel it, and I could feel it going down and down and down. And as with most things in my life, when I hit the wall with something, my place of bouncing back up is when I finally admitted to Michael, my husband.
Oh.
And we had gone fishing, and I had my back to him, and I was singing Happiest Girl in the Whole USA with my back to him with tears running down my face because I wasn't happy. And I turned around, and he saw my face, and I said, I've got to talk. You've got to talk. And of course, a typical guy, he thought I'd fallen out of love with him, but it wasn't that. And I knew it wasn't that. I knew it was me. Did it have some to do with how we interacted and some of the patterns of behavior? Yeah, there were some things that we had to look at. It was like I was coming of age. It was like I just needed to own myself. I wanted to know, who the hell is Kelly Colleen? I'd been Mike's wife and the kid's mother and a teacher and a nurse. I wanted to know, who am I? Who am I? And I felt like my soul was just calling out, help me find me. I want to find me. And that's where I was at. So I was meditating, and I nothing was helping. And I started to do some counseling. After I talked to Michael, I knew I needed some counseling. And so I started with a woman who I've known, who's helped me with some issues with my kids and stuff over the years. Beautiful, beautiful woman. So good at what she does. Such an angel on this earth. And in one of the sessions, I told her about the weird things that were happening in meditation, the seeing energy and feeling touches and all kinds of stuff that was happening. And she said, Kelly, I want you to look up what it means to be an empath. And when she said that, we were at the end of our session. I dove into the metaphysical side of the internet, which I hadn't done a lot of. I'd done some. I'd wrap my mind around the Esther Hicks. Somehow I was able to let go of that channeling thing, and just because I could feel it, it resonated. You just know. And that's what I would say to your audience. You know when something's right for you. You feel it. It draws you in, and you just know that it's correct. And that's how I felt.
When I first came across Esther and Abraham Hicks, I had struggled my life with formal religion simply because I would get there and think, well, I don't know if that makes sense. It just didn't. I could never get to the place of suspension of belief to to say, oh yeah, this is right. When I heard Abraham the first time, I went, that's it. For me, it was the truth about who we are, that we are a spark of the creator. We do create our experiences. Everything that came from Abraham, I was like, yep, yep, yep. There was no shame. There was no, you're a sinner. There was no, it was like everything was just so spot on with me. So I understand exactly how you felt, because I felt the same way.
Exactly. When
Yeah.
I heard the words, the purpose of life is joy.
Is joy.
Like,
Go have fun.
it's gotta be right. It's gotta be what
Uh-huh.
I felt my whole life. Yeah, I mean, it really was a huge, huge, and everything that they teach is absolutely correct.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely my guides have added to, but
Mm-hmm.
everything they have taught is 100% correct. There's just
Yeah.
now, but of course there's more. We're evolving.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way that it is. So I dive into the internet and I find Suzanne Giesman, it was quite early. So this would be in 2021, at the end of 2021, I think it was in November. So if you look at Suzanne's journey, her journey with the public, she was be pretty new then. She's had a big couple of years, just like I have, and hers is a lot bigger, but that's okay. That's perfectly fine, because that's just the perfect way that it is. And she was talking about her journey, and she talked about automatic writing, because I just felt the calling. I knew there was something trying to happen, that there was a possibility something was trying to happen. I that's the only way I can explain it. And so I tried automatic writing, so I settled into a meditation. I got myself quite altered, but still able to function enough to use pen and paper and that kind of thing. But I can't spell. And when I would get to a word that I couldn't spell, it would bring me out of my meditation.
Because you start getting conflicted with the letters. Yeah.
Yeah, it would pop me out. It would bring me back. Because meditation is taking your consciousness from here and moving it out.
Yeah.
When I channel, Kelly's consciousness steps out and their consciousness comes through. Now I can do it back and forth. It's easy peasy lemon squeezy. But then it was a big deal. I mean, it was a really big deal. And so that didn't work. And my therapist had introduced, I bet through the whole thing, I only maybe went 8 times, but it was life-changing. God bless that woman. But my therapist introduced me to inner child work, and she helped me to see that I had lived my life saying what a wonderful childhood that I had. And I did. There were lots of aspects of my childhood that were wonderful, but there were lots of parts of my childhood that were not. And I loved my mother and father so much that I felt in some way that I was betraying them to admit. My mother was like 36 when she had me. She didn't want any more kids. She found out she was pregnant the year she was going to get her last kid into kindergarten. So for all the mothers out there, she was pregnant when she got married. She'd had no freedom. She had a span of like 8 or 10 years of having babies, because she had lots of miscarriages in there. She prayed for a miscarriage. She prayed for a miscarriage. She took medication to carry my brothers, and my father asked her, why aren't you taking that? If God wants me to have this kid, I'm going to have it. Other than that, he can take it. I wasn't wanted. So my little soul chose her at that time in her life. I know that for the lessons of it. But as a little kid, I knew I wasn't wanted. And she shoved me off to babysitters here and there. We could do a whole darn thing on this. We don't need to. But the bottom line is, my guides have taught me that one of the agreements that we make when we come forward to be human is the programming that is going to happen. Whether you've got the most perfect childhood or not, your subconscious mind is programmed from the time you were born until you are 7 or 9 years old. There are volumes and volumes of research and evidence that prove that. And that programming is what runs your subconscious mind. So all of that thinking, the why we do what we do, why we react the way we react, all of it is our programming. That all is from our inner child. So my therapist had introduced me to my inner child, and I had started, again, she said, journal. And inner child work, if to do it well, you have to really kind of shift back and forth from perspectives. Again, I utilized my meditation at the time. I could do really great stuff. I couldn't journal it. So I used my phone and I used the memo, the recording the memo feature on my phone. And I would record the conversation between me and my inner child. And then I could listen back to it and I would get so much from listening back. I'd get so many insights from listening back. So, it was very valuable. So I had been, having different things happen and meditating a lot and having all kinds of weird experiences. And then one day, Michael, it was this time of year, it was just about, well, it was exactly 2 years ago this month. Michael went away on a fishing trip. So I had all kinds of time. I put my phone on my chest. They were guiding me. Now looking back, my guides were guiding me. They were nudging me to do this. And I just started to kind of chant, let the words come, let the words come. And so as I chanted, let the words come, I tried to do my breathing and practice my meditation techniques and move that consciousness out. Let the words come, the words come, the words come. And it started. And that was 2 years ago. And it's been quite a journey.
Well, I want to ask you,
Yeah.
when you listened back to that recording,
Oh, it's friggin' phenomenal.
what did you think? What did you feel?
I thought, holy fuck, what is this? That's what I thought. You got to take the whole of me, and that's part of me, because my cussing has been one of the big, good Christian girl things I've battled my whole life. And now I know that it don't matter a bit.
It's so expressive.
It is. You know exactly where I'm coming from. I didn't know. Holy camole. I thought I was going crazy. I thought I was nuts. I thought I was absolutely nuts. And you do ask yourself that. You do ask yourself, am I going crazy? I said to Michael one day, I said, Mike, if you come home and I am literally drooling on the couch, I want you to put me in a home because
Yeah,
I've checked out.
I've gone around the bend.
Yeah. And he said, I'm not okay with you doing that. And I said, I'm not okay with me doing it either. But I kind of feel like it's a possibility at this point. I was definitely thinking it was crazy. But when in that first download, Kim, it was incredible. My mother came through. My mother came through and spoke to me about what I had been going through in my counseling. It was amazing. It was just amazing. They
Now,
gave
did you remember it, or when you listened back, did you hear things that you didn't remember?
Oh, yes. Think about it. You and I are going to have a conversation for an hour. You're
Right.
going to remember the high points
Mhm.
and then you're going to listen back to it and you can be like, oh yeah, that was really cool. Same thing. Same
Okay.
thing. For anyone who's on this journey, I would really, really recommend them recording or journaling and writing down everything as it happens because you will not remember. And they give you stuff in layers. They give you a little bit of a knowing as much as your little pea brain from a human standpoint can tolerate, and then they give you a little bit more, and then they give you a little bit more, and they give you a little bit more. It's like the layers of an onion. And so, yeah, it was incredible. And I did ask myself, am I making this up? And it was overwhelming and there was even some scariness to it. But that first energy that I brought back, they identified themselves as Lacrosse. I don't even hardly use that name anymore because what I know is Lacrosse is a sliver of the pie of what I connect to. It was most of the pie at first. It was they came through to help teach me this relationship that I have. And there was a lot I now know. I now understand that there was a great deal of Christ consciousness
Right.
frequency within Lacrosse because it was familiar to me. And it felt like
Okay. Because you had been such a fervent prayer over
I've
the
been so
years.
connected because
Yeah,
whether or not formal religion is worth salt, I'm here to tell you that Christ and the
is.
Christ consciousness is.
Is.
So
Yeah.
there's not a question about that.
Hmm.
So
And the
so
Christ consciousness isn't housed in one person. It is a frequency band that exists.
but
Mhm.
he has come through me and he did incarnate. He
Oh
did.
yeah. Yeah.
There's no question. But
Hmm.
he he said through me, he's incarnated many times, but
Yeah.
that, and he's taught the same, he's taught his thing is the oneness, the understanding that we're all one.
Yeah.
And when we do for this, we're doing for the all. We are
Yes.
all one. It's exactly what, what his message is. So I'm kind of just running on my conversation between me and my guides at this time. They tell me it was very difficult to speak them and then speak a question. And they told me through telepathy, that's how they communicate. They said, think your question. And I said to them through my mind, but I want it on the recording. And they said, we will repeat it. And
Oh,
yes, so they're very accommodating. I swear, I try to tell people, pretend you've got a group of beings sitting here and talk to them. That's
which
it.
you do. You just
Which
can't
you
see them.
do. You just can't see them. That's right. Some people can, but I can't.
Yeah.
So I was, practicing. I was asking questions. They were giving me wonderful knowings around the world and how to understand life and how to understand being human, all kinds of great, great, great things. So that was in mid-January. In March, I hadn't really shared anything with anybody as far as practice. Up to this point, it was me and me, which is easier to think you're going nuts because I love for people to ask my guides questions that Kelly has no idea about. And then they bring through this remarkable answer, and you're like, holy cow. It's just so validating when you hear it. It's like, I couldn't have made that up. There's no way.
Right.
I'm not
Yeah.
smart enough to make up the stuff that they come up with.
Yeah. And the same thing is true for automatic writing.
Oh,
If
yes.
you participate and you go back and read it, and you think, well, that was good.
That's really insightful. That's very insightful. That's exactly right. So, but I would play games with myself and I would say, well, I already had an idea about that. That's kind of what I've always believed anyway. And that was true. That was true because it was me talking to me. You can't ask the questions about stuff you don't know anything about.
Yeah.
You don't know to ask, you don't know to ask. So, it's a whole thing. So anyway, in March, I started to be called to mediumship. I did not understand at the time. I thought it was all one thing. I just didn't have an understanding. I live in Lee, Maine. Hello. I
I have
just,
population 800.
yeah, it's like I just didn't know. So I thought it was all the same thing. I didn't realize that, and Suzanne Giesman is a medium, and she
Yeah.
was one of my very first teachers. And so I thought it was all the same thing, and I didn't quite understand that all mediums didn't channel. And when I did my very first, in my meditation in the morning, they said, it's time. You need to set an appointment. And I knew I had had some friends that I had told this stuff to, and that one of them had lost her dad just about a year beforehand and still had a lot of grief. And my guides say, it's time. And I'm like, no. And they're like, it's time. Okay. So I talked to my friend. We set an appointment for the next day after school. I get up that morning, I go into my meditation, and I just cry out to my guides. I'm like, I'm scared. I don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do. They gave me a download because they know who I am. They know the way I work the best. They gave me step by step instructions on what to do. And I followed those instructions. I brought through her father. I channeled her father. It was over an hour long. I brought through irrefutable evidence, absolute black and white evidence. About 2/3 of the way through, we're both crying, the snot's running, the tears are running. We get up in her classroom, we walk over, we're laughing because we both can't believe what we're experiencing.
What just happened?
We're both just overwhelmed. We're laughing, we're crying, we're hugging, we're wiping our face. And all of a sudden, that energy went, whoa. And I went, he's not done. I remember just going, he's not done. And we went, and I literally almost collapsed into the chair. And there was a very, very important piece that hadn't come out that was part of her healing. He wasn't done. And it was just unbelievable. So everything I had read up to that time, or even like through Suzanne's teachings and stuff, it was like, if you could hold the link for 10 or 15 minutes, it was a great big deal. It was over an hour. And there was not a question. I got up and walked around and it was like, whoa. And so I just didn't understand what was going on. So I tried the mediumship thing. I got involved with Very Soul, which is a whole thing and lovely organization, but it's a practicing thing for mediums. But it was a struggle because Suzanne had taught us to you hold them back until you get evidence. And I would feel the beings behind my face pushing. They wanted to talk. And I would hold them back and it was hard. And the way I explain to people now, because I drew a line in the sand. Just because I can do something don't mean I have to. And it isn't my calling. To do mediumship is me doing this and going, oh, to this little tiny bit of energy that is the personality of your great Aunt Sally. And I'm holding Aunt Sally back until she tells me you've got a red teddy bear at the head of your bed. And Aunt Sally wants to tell you she loves you and she wants to tell you how beautiful you are. And I'm holding her back, and it's like holding back a team of horses until she finally drops into my mind, that stupid red teddy bear. And then you have that epiphany. Oh, yee-haw, whoop-de-doo. And then I can let Aunt Sally talk. I did not enjoy that process, not one bit. I didn't enjoy it. And so I just stopped doing it. I just stopped doing it. When I open to the all, it's glorious. It's glorious. It's easy. It's comfortable. And it's my calling. I know it's my calling.
Okay, what I want to know is how do you feel physically? Because I know when I have a good meditation or I listen to light language, it's like, oh my gosh, the feeling is so good. Is that what you experience? Like, do you
I
get tired? Does it energize you? Does it make you happy? What happens?
All of it, really. All of it, really. I am now doing one-to-one sessions with clients. I do 3 in a row in the morning from 7 to 10:30. I take a 15-minute break in the middle. And by the end, I'm tired and I'm realizing there's something I'm doing wrong. Because when, like you say, when I just do my thing, that energy is just glorious. It's wonderful. It's energizing. It's comforting. It's love. It's pure liquid love rolling through me. It's beautiful. So I actually wrote down one day, they gave it to me. We get tired when we invest our energy.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm getting too invested in the results.
Yep.
I need you to be happy with our session. It's important that you're happy. And I'm
Oh.
realizing that that's the thing that's causing me the tiredness. So I'm working on that. I'm working.
Mhm.
They give me exactly what I need. But so going to continue on with the thing. So I'm doing my practice with mediumship, getting lots of evidence, which was validating. And then June rolls around. I am in a meditation. And all of a sudden, it's like somebody plugged my big toe into a light socket. Energy starts from my feet coming up through me. It scares me. It is such a big energy. It's such a wave of energy that I'm like in my hand. So I was channeling, speaking, recording it. And all of a sudden, my mouth starts talking what sounds like gibberish. My hands start doing all these motions that I'm not controlling. Now, it's not like I could not have stopped at any given time. Free will rules the day. But I'm in that flow of channeling, and all of a sudden, all of this is just starting. In my mind, the way we communicate is telepathy. So it isn't linear, but to talk about it, you have to make it linear. So in my mind, I was like, I'm scared, I'm scared, I'm scared. And the guides came back and said, stop. And I said, and all the time my mouth is going, I'm talking light language and my hands are going. And then this all happens in a second. And I say, is it for my highest good? And they said, yes. And I said, then just don't leave me. I'm scared. And their energy pulled around me, leaving up and down my front open, but pulled around like in a hug. And they said, me now. And they held me. I would have thought when I looked for that recording, I was looking for like a 30-minute recording. It was like 9 minutes. It seemed like it was an hour when it came through. And this light language came through, which is people ask, is it the same thing as speaking in tongues? And I would answer that yes. But
Yeah.
I think that with our intention, it gives it more and more and more power because I can just tell you that every day, it's getting more, my just that to go more and more powerful, stronger, and it's incredible. Would you like me to talk a little bit about like what light language is and what it does?
I would. And then maybe we can have you do a little bit of channeling after that.
It'd be awesome. I think that'd be
Okay.
awesome. So light language is the communication of our soul. That is what they're giving me. It is sound and motion. Some people are blessed with only motion, some people are blessed with only sound. And it is a vehicle and it carries frequencies. It's encoded with information. It has codes in it across all dimensions, timelines, incarnations, and realms. So when I open for us and I bring light language in, and all time is now. So every viewer that ever listens to this, their energy, your energy, has a part in what is being called forth. And the listener's part is you just open your heart and say yes with your free will, that I accept whatever gift that comes through on this light language. And so it does different things, because at the beginning, like I could be doing dishes and thinking about what I'm going to cook for supper and do light language. So it doesn't feel a lot of energy to it. It's just like I could shift into light language right now without, and know that it's light language. You can't mimic it. You can try. People might
How
try.
does it feel different than what you were doing in church?
Oh, that was so long ago, and it had, I bet I only did it a dozen times. I don't think it feels that much difference as far as that connected feeling.
Right. Same
Connected
connection.
feeling
Yeah.
feels the same. What is different now is there is a more of an intention behind it. There is, oh God, they're saying to use the word, I wield it. And that seems haughty. I don't like it, but I'm going to say it because they told me to. I, with my intention, I direct it. My guides are giving me information. So if I'm doing a one-to-one with someone, like sometimes they will move my intention into the energy of the person I'm working with, but not every time. But sometimes they do, and the light language will get really specific, and it will shift through different dialects. And it's like it's bringing different stuff in. I can't explain it, not, but that's what it feels like. There's times when I feel, honest to gosh, Kim, like I'm reaching into the heart of somebody and taking out something that doesn't belong. There's times when I feel like with that light language and the energy that's coming, I'm not doing it. I want to say that wasn't spoken correctly, but that I'm letting this happen through me. All I'm kind of is like the little potato gun that you poke, point at something, and poof, out comes the potato, I don't have much. I'm not bringing anything to the table, but they are using me as a channel. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's the only thing I'm good at is getting out of the way. I get out of the
Mhm.
way, but I do understand that directing, and I feel the knowing of some of what's happening. Do I understand it all? Absolutely not. But I try to do as they direct me. And sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it really pushes my comfort, like to use that, like I said a word that felt uppity to me, and I don't like that. It isn't who I am. But
Oh,
I also follow direction, because I
great.
know I know that that is my intention. I don't have to. I can step away from this anytime. I don't ever
Right.
have to channel again if I don't choose to.
Yeah. But why would you? It's
No,
too much fun.
yeah, it is a lot. It is way too much fun.
Yeah.
But I do want to just share that one little piece about that mindless light language. I asked, what is that about? And they said that anytime light language is spoken this dimension, we are raising the vibration of the
Yeah.
frequency of the planet.
That's what I get from it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's the light language that has that power and intention behind it. It might be a dialect from this or a dialect from that, and you'll hear the change. Sometimes it sounds Asian, sometimes it sounds tribal, sometimes it sounds like clicking and bug sounds. I mean, I can't even tell you. It is, but I can feel the difference in the energy when it's coming through.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, that's light language.
Well, let's do this. How do we know who's coming in?
Don't spend a whole lot of energy trying to cipher through all that. They show
Okay.
me, when I'm asked that question, they show me, in my mind, I see the old-fashioned operator and the old thing, and they plug it in.
Yeah.
I'm plugging in
Hmm.
with the energy of this moment and what this moment is calling forth. I plug in. It's like it goes automatically to wherever it's supposed to go. And the light beings that have the answer or the message for this moment is what I bring through. It
Okay.
is angels, it is guides, it is, listen carefully to the words, physical and non-physical beings.
Yeah.
Across dimensions, timelines, incarnations, and realms. That is what I channel. So I don't bother. Sometimes they give me names. Sometimes people ask specifically and they will give a name. I just I let the wisdom come.
Okay. All right, let's do this.
Okay. I like to start by just taking a beautiful breath and sending gratitude, because the energy of gratitude is one of the most powerful frequencies on our planet. When we feel that appreciation, we're so thankful for all of the beings of light that draw near. We are so thankful for Mother Earth holding us in her arms. We take a breath. And we send it with our love and our gratitude to the cosmos side. Take a breath and send it to Mother Earth with our gratitude as she opens her heart and opens her arms to accept anything that does not serve the higher good in this moment. Say yes within your hearts, dear ones, as the language of light comes to your ears and into your heart. Atikiaro koma nyani kita turo ana kiatika omana. Atikiara kura yatisi anaki atakoro oro kari anaki. Aramono oro mana, aramana oro mana a, ara azikiara katoro ukurami anaki tarakoto. Aziki akarakatara katoro mana. It is indeed joyous, is it not, to gather together with people of a like mind and a like heart, trying with all of your gifts to shine the light into this dimension and timeline. We are happy to participate in this exchange and welcome all or any of your questions at this time.
Thank you so much for joining us. The first thing I'd like to ask is, can you tell us a little bit more about who you are and the makeup of the collective that you represent?
We would not describe ourselves as a collective, or perhaps we would say we are a collective of collectives, for it is very broad. There are indeed many what you from your human perspective visualize as a collective, a group of like beings that have a shared focus and abilities, perhaps. There are many such collectives that have the abilities with their intellect and their technology to interact through benevolence with the human race. We do, however, occasionally, much to this one's despair, remind her that there are indeed those who are not benevolent. So it is a good idea to always practice your groundings and your rituals to keep all such frivolity away. Nothing to be scared of, only the common sense of working with the energies that cross the dimensions, timelines, incarnations, and indeed realms. So no, we are not one, we are many, and we are what is needed as a response to the calling. The question itself brings through the combination that creates the collective of the answer.
Thank you. You know, as I look around and I see so many off-planet energies coming in, I kind of look at it as like the cavalry is here. There's so much help. There's so much support. There's so much great information coming into the planet Earth right now. First of all, I want to express my gratitude because, gosh, I particularly feel like we need it. Can you talk with us a little bit about why you're being so generous with your time to help those of us here on Earth?
You are indeed an extension of that which we are. we, speaking as all, have been very interested in the development of the human race from the very beginning. There is no effort intending to that which you love. So there takes no effort and does not feel that it even requires your word generosity, as we are very interested and enjoy the collaborative nature of facilitating your development. Would you ask for more clarification, or did that answer the question?
No, that's a good answer. And I think in particular that we are an extension of who you are. That is a great way to put it. The next question I have is we are going through some bumpy times here on the planet. It's gotten a little crazy. What can you share with us about the purpose of all the conflict we're seeing on Earth? And then maybe if you can share some suggestions for how to navigate this in a way that's most helpful for ourselves and for, all of us on Earth as a whole.
First, we would express that it is the human's perspective of duality that makes you look across experiences and see some as happy and positive and some as traumatizing and difficult. That is indeed the human perspective. It is not ours. We see the earth as we use the term playground quite often with this one. We do not mean in any way to diminish the experience of any individual. We understand that from the human perspective, it has within it all of those aspects of difficulty. But what you must understand from our side, the must is not quite right. What we invite you to understand, the perspective from our side, is that though it is hard for the human to embrace this idea, the conflict of war is no greater conflict than not finding your car keys from our perspective. You come forth to experience. You come forth to experience, and the experience is what expands the all. And you come forth to remember who you are and what you are. And on your journey of experience, those rememberings start to come forth. You asked us to say, what could the human do within this present moment to facilitate the journey of themselves and the journey of the all? There is nothing you can do that is more powerful than truly learning to love yourself. And as we speak these words, we feel the collective eye roll, as you have heard this so very many times before. But you must understand that when you truly know that you are all one being, and that any love and care that you can shine upon yourself is shining onto the all. That when you do your meditations and you clean your energy field and you clean the energy across timelines, dimensions, incarnations, and realms, as we teach through this one, you are indeed affecting the all. But humans get all tied up with what's out here. I'm all of the shoulds that somehow this being should do something that affects all of this. When the greatest thing that this one can do is to settle into the present moment and radiate love for herself, love for the all, love for the planet, for the angels, for the grains of sand. Love. When you radiate love into this world, you are indeed changing the frequency. But also, we would invite you to the understanding of the realities of timelines, the multiverse, as it is being described often in these days. All time is now. So every circumstance, there is the potential, there is the beingness of it at the end of a timeline that comes out from this present moment. So you have the timeline that has Mother Earth and the people on her loving and creating heaven on earth, as you all say. But you also, there is the timeline that has the explosions and the war and the hate and all of that. Armageddon. Both of those potentials are real. The job of remembrance is knowing the way you navigate these timelines is by how your frequency is coming out and emitting in this present moment. Are you in alignment with all of the hate and the war, or are you in alignment with the joy and the peace? It is truly as simple as that. And that is the timeline that you will experience. It is all of the knowing up to this present moment for each individual who listens in this moment. It is all that has gone into it that has created your frequency within this present moment that allows most of you to see some good and some not so good. But what we are calling you to is the power that is within each individual to truly resonate at a frequency that makes all fall away except that which is your highest.
Oh, it was beautiful. And I have one last question for you. There's a lot of talk on Earth right now about us ascending into 5D or a higher frequency. That Mother Earth has decided to move up to a higher frequency, which takes the rest of us along with her. Can you talk to us a little bit about what your understanding is about that and what you would like for us to know about that?
First of all, we would say that you are all moving in and out of these dimensions and timelines all the time. We show this one, the boogie board that she plays on vacation, and all of the potentials, and her on her boogie board. And what moves the boogie board is the frequency. It is the same answer, dear one, because the frequency that you are at is the experience that the human is going to have in this present moment. Mother Earth, in all of her sovereignty, has many, many beingnesses, as do you, as does this one. There is the beingness of the complete transition to 5D. There is the beingness that is the other end of the stick. And what we would say to you is, again, everyone is seeking the answer to the question, what can I do? Where is my power? Your power is within your deliberate, intentional controlling your frequency, the vibrational output that you have moment by moment by moment. And when those like you both shine your light, indeed, the frequency within the timeline that you are in raises and it calls the others forward. That's why there are so many watching these kinds of shows and tuning in and studying this kind of material because their hearts are pulling them. The pull comes because they are within the vibrational resonance of that higher frequency and they feel themselves being pulled forward to something more. That is exactly what Kelly described in her journey. The reason she felt so discontented was because she was not resonating where she needed to be. She was being called by all who love her. You all are being called as well. And you are all one. And you are one with Mother Earth. So when you tend to that which is you, and you love and you care for yourself. When you create the relationship between you and you, when you tend to that inner child and you bring her or him into your day-to-day life, and you realize that that is part of the sandbox that you signed up for, that is when the glory will happen and you will experience all that you are hoping for.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate your time today. Can we bring Kelly back?
Oh, she's right here. I'm
Oh,
right. It's, it,
hey, girl.
it's an odd thing, but it's like, yeah, I'm right here through the whole thing. It's
You're
awesome.
wishing it out. Yeah.
Oh, they are
How are you
just,
doing there?
oh my gosh. Aren't they, isn't it just remarkable?
Yes,
It's just
it
remarkable.
is. It is, and I love it. I just love it.
I am in awe. I'm in awe every time that they come through with such clarity. I wish that I could share what goes on in my mind.
Hmm.
They use pictures, so the hard part of being a channel is feeling what they want to say and not being able to find the right words to express it to the degree that they would want me to express it. I
Hmm.
do the very best. They know I do, and I do a reasonably good job, I think.
You
But
do. You do a
and
great
it's
job.
hard because there are
Yeah.
times when I know when I listen back and I know that the experience that I'm having on the inside as I listen and I watch the exchange, because I record all my one-to-one sessions and whatnot, I'm like, holy cow, it was such a remarkable experience on the inside.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. You know, I just have such gratitude for all the off-planet energies that are coming in to help us. I just feel like
They
they
love
don't
us.
have to do it. And
No,
yet they do with such love and such patience
yeah,
and such ease and just such, well, of course we're here. Well,
right.
of course we're here. And it just, I don't know, it just, I feel so grateful because we are in, you know, we're in a place where we need some guidance right now here on the planet. At least that's my opinion.
That's exactly right. I mean, and it is, and it's a moment by moment. That's why everything that I do is called present moment magic. They gave me that name because they said the magic happens in the present moment.
Yeah.
And that's the only place the magic happens, because
Yeah.
it's the only reality, because
It is the, yeah.
it's all happening now. And when you can get those knowings into your mind, that's part of what will facilitate you. People come to me with questions. My purpose in life, and all the things you would imagine that people come to someone like me and ask. And the bottom line is that you have they're hitting me on saying have to. They are calling us forward. They said to me in the beginning, they said, this is the first time in history that we've got the knowing about the programming. Most people, not even highly educated people, have even heard about it, the subconscious mind, on sitcoms. So there's an understanding about the subconscious and that our mind runs and whatnot. They said, my guide said, we know about the program, now have access to the answer. The programming is what, when you are, anyone who's listening to this, when you are trying to sit in the present moment, you're wanting to meditate, you're wanting to connect to the all, and there's this and there's this and there's this and all of that. That's the programming. And so what they are calling us forward to is doing the unraveling. They are calling us to this process of unraveling that programming and creating this loving, nurturing relationship with all aspects of who we are. We are multifaceted beings. We are that strong, powerful woman who's connected to my higher self, who can access in this moment. You can, everybody can. The fifth dimension perspective is that non-judgmental perspective of observation. You can only hold it for a second, but you can get there. It's just that moment of, that's fifth dimension. That's what the fifth dimension is. It's a perspective. It's right here. It's not like we're going to step and all of a sudden everything else is gone. It's all the time moving. And they just are really working with us and teaching us that we're going to struggle to develop this the gifts and the connection and hearing their voice, we're going to struggle with that while we have that subconscious programming that's part of us all, and we're battling it. So you have to embrace it. And they're giving me tons and tons of information on how to do that. I spent
Yeah.
all morning. I had three. It doesn't always work this way because it can be all kinds of different stuff. But this morning there was three different directions to the inner child of
Yeah.
healing and working with and loving and integrating her or him in or them into the present moment, into this life with you. And once you do, it's like it brings all the fun because the inner child is where all of our emotions come from. So we made all these agreements to be human, and one of them was the continuum of emotion. The only emotion that's outside of the human experience is unconditional love.
Isn't
That's
that
the
is,
fabric of the universe is unconditional love.
I know, isn't
But
that
the
funny?
but the experience of being human is this whole continuum of emotion.
Yeah. I've
He
heard that we have more emotions here on Earth than any other reality system.
I I don't know that for 100% like black and white knowing, but I know that it's a big part of what we are doing here.
Yeah.
And every emotion we have is communication from the inner child, the good emotions and the crappy ones.
Mhm.
They are inside us, giving us information. And when we learn to integrate that and we learn to listen and we can give her what she needs in that moment, oh my gosh, it's just amazing the magic that happens. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
We all talk about creating our own world, you know? I mean, we all want stuff. I like stuff. We all like stuff. When we talk about manifesting, the energy of awe and wonder and expectation, that's our inner child. When we are in that energy, my guides have very clearly told me that is like law of attraction on steroids. When we can connect to that vibration of that night before Christmas expectation of all the wonder that's coming, that is bringing to us all the goodies, the good stuff of life. That's the creative force that will create the world that you want. How do we get there? Why are so many people struggling? We've mastered the law of attraction to the point that we could, and now everybody is spinning their tires in the law of attraction. They can't get to that next step. This is why, because it's her, it's him, it's that inner child part of us that we have to include in the game. And once she's included, then you're going to start to see the magic.
Well, this has been a magical conversation, Kelly. Thank you so much. If how do we find out more about you? How do we?
Well, I have written two books. They're available on Amazon. The first one is called Redefining Faith. The second one is called Establishing Your Frequency. I kind of recommend the second one because it has my angel team came through in the writing of the second one, and it's phenomenal. They really are giving us a lot of information right now about the chakra system. And I also would encourage people to go to my YouTube channel because they're nudging me right now because I haven't spoken of that morning process of clearing and grounding and tending to your energy. I've got lots of great videos on my YouTube channel, Present Moment Magic on YouTube. And in the description under my videos, there's most of the links to what I'm offering. Right now, I'm doing a Monday night class at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the Monday night class, the intention behind it is developing our gifts. And I do a Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time class. And for those classes, there's an investment of $8. So I tried to make it pretty affordable.
Very, very reasonable,
And but
very affordable.
we're having the classes are wonderful. So you can go to my booking site is called presentmomentmagic.as.me, and
And
it'll show
oh,
you the different things that I'm offering. I do one-to-ones. Thank you, thank you. I do one-to-ones with people. I'm pretty booked, so you have to go out a ways, but that's okay because there's always
yeah,
a timing for everything. If
yeah,
people send me, I'm going to put this out there that if people send me their email address, and I'll give you mine and you can put it below. My email address is kellybowker7@gmail.com. If you email me, I will put you in, I call it my tribe. And sometimes I will just be like, I'm going to get to see who's around to play. And I will send out an email with a link, a Zoom link, and say, who wants to meditate with me at 10 a.m. and 30 or
Oh,
40
how
people.
fun.
Oh, it's great fun. It's great fun.
Yeah,
It's great
yeah.
fun. And that's free. There's no charge to that. So
Okay.
yeah, it's pretty awesome. I'm loving life. This
I
little
bet you
tiny
are.
town.
I know. And I will have all your information linked in the description box down below, so she'll be easy to find,
Thank you so
Kelly.
much. Thank
Kelly,
you.
thank you so much for your time today. It's been absolutely wonderful.
You.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Coming up next, this is a good one, or you might really like this one too. Either one of them could be perfect for you. Before you leave, don't forget to subscribe.